Welcome to the simplest yoga I think I've ever done, and possibly the least professional because I'm in a bedroom. You might need 2 blocks, you might not. We're going to start in child's pose, so kneeling, either with your knees together or your knees apart with your toes touching, doesn't matter, try both, see which one works. Drape yourself over your knees, take your hands out in front of you, slide them along the floor, put your head down. Push your hips back, nestle your hips down onto your heels, head to the floor, hands down, elbows down. And we're going to take some time here. So keep your head on the floor. And start focusing on breathing. Let your head be really heavy. So it almost feels like you're pouring your head into the floor. Feel the weight of it come down your spine, through your neck, down the base of your skull, and through the top of your head or your forehead, whatever's touching the floor. And you're pouring that energy, that weight down. And direct your breath into your ribs, into the side of your ribs. So let your ribs expand outwards as you breathe in. You're squishing your rib cage onto your legs, so there's no room to breathe forwards. So you've got to breathe outwards. And we'll take about 5 more deep breaths here. One more breath. Good. Move slowly, wake yourself up a little bit. Push yourself upwards. Come onto all fours. And we're going to come into half frog. So you might need your blocks for this one. You're going to take one leg, let's say your left leg, take your knee out alongside your hip. So your knee and your hip are going to be in the same line. And then when you look back, you'll see your ankle and your knee in the same line. There. Okay. And then push yourself down. So your right hip will be on the floor, elbows on the floor. Right foot, top of your right foot's on the floor, the whole of your right leg is on the floor. And you've just got this left leg out at 90 degrees. So you've probably got your left hip's probably off the floor. And we'll stay here. So you're on your elbows for now. Take some deep breaths here. And we'll come down. You can stay here or you can come onto your block. You can take your forehead to the block. Or you can take your forehead to the floor. And we'll stay here for a few breaths. So it's really slow today. So this is a nice one to do if your energy needs bringing down. So everything we do to do with training and life generally is very stressful. And your body only knows stress. It doesn't know different kinds of stress. It doesn't know that training is a good kind of stress normally. It doesn't know that a deadline is a good source of stress. It just knows stress. So we need to bring it down. And sometimes even stretching can be a source of stress, depending on how we feel about stretching. So this is nice and slow. It gives you a chance to melt into the stretches. Your mission for today is to try and keep your face super zen. So no scrunched up faces if things aren't quite comfortable. We're going to work our way out of this one and change sides. So push yourself up. And then you'll take your right leg out. So right knee comes out to the right. Right ankle is below your right knee. Straighten out your left leg. Take yourself down. Staying on your elbows for now. So your right leg, your left toes are on the floor. Top of your left foot's on the floor. And when you look at your right knee is in line with your right hip, and your right ankle is in line with your right knee. So lots of sensation in your pelvis. Grab a block or take your head to the floor, resting your forehead. And as you breathe, you are breathing your belly into the floor. Let's make our way up again, slowly as you need. And then, perhaps not surprisingly, we're going to put those two sides together and we're going to do a full frog. So taking your knees out, wider than your hips. Look down at your feet. Your ankles are in line with your knees, so check both sides, and your toes, your feet are pointed out. And we're going to push our hips back very slightly. You won't need to go far. Grab your blocks if you want to. You can just pull your elbows to the floor. You can stay upright for now, or you can have your blocks. Take your body even higher by putting your hands on your blocks. Or come down on your elbows on the blocks. Find a space that feels good. And we'll breathe into it. So remember, passive Zen-like expression. And deep breaths into your ribs. This can be quite sore on your knees. So if you need to pause the video and put something under your knees to pad them, that's fine. Cushions would be great for this. We've got about 10 more deep breaths here. I'll show you this movement from a different angle, just so it makes sense. So we've got knees wide, feet in line, pushing our hips back, coming down onto your elbows. I've never seen a frog do this either, but you know, here we go, yoga. A few more deep breaths. Last deep breath. I promise this is the most painful part. Work your way back up. Really slowly come out of it. So walk yourself forwards, walk yourself out of it, and then you get to sit down. Just sit on your bum. Now there's going to be two options for this next one. You'll either keep your leg out straight, so take your left leg out straight, and take your right foot over your left leg and lean forwards. So here's your pose. Or if that feels okay, take your left leg, bend it. So you're sitting like this. So you've got your left leg bent underneath you, and then your right leg bent on top, and your right foot's on the floor. So here. Bottom leg straight's fine. Either way, we're going to lean forwards. We'll spend a few breaths here, and then take it a little bit further. So you're grounding down through your right foot. So keep pushing the inside edge of your right foot to the floor. And both sitting bones should be down, ideally. You can either stay here, or you can start to slide this right leg across a little bit. See if you can get these two knees stacked one on top of the other. So you can wiggle around as you need to. Try and stack these knees and make it so that when you look down, your feet are mirroring each other. So we've got one foot facing that way, one foot that way. And they look identical, so they're on the same line. We haven't got one pointing that way and one pointing that way. Feet are on the same line, knees directly on top of one another. And if, when that feels good, make two fists, like one potato, two potato, and put your head on your fists. And let your head be heavy. You might still be in the straight-legged position, that's fine. Do the same thing. Stack one knee on top of the other. Move your foot further away from you, and you can do the same thing. Lean over that leg. And here we'll stay. Find your position where feels good for you. Remember, if the knee stacked isn't good, we can always bring it back a little bit so that we've got distance between our knees, and we've got our left leg on the floor, right leg up, right foot down. This might be your position, that's fine. And you can come back to that position if you need to. We'll have 5 more deep breaths here and we'll change sides. slowly come out, however slowly you need to, and we'll change sides. So right leg out, starting the easier way, so just bring your left leg over your right, stay here, hugging that left knee in, and if that feels good, bend this right leg so that you're taking your right ankle outside your left hip, so you look like this. So I've got my right leg bent, right foot's here, left foot's on the floor, and my knee is right in the middle of my chest, so I can stay here, hug this knee in, lean forwards, and we'll stay here, and we'll take it a little bit further when this feels a bit more settled. So trying to get both sitting bones down on the floor. So either stay here or take it a little bit further. So you're going to even out both feet. Slowly try and stack both knees. It might feel different on one side than the other. It might feel harder, it might feel easier. Don't worry too much about making the shape, just kind of flirt with it, try and find it, try and find your version of it. So when you look down, you'll see your feet along the same line and your knees hopefully stacked. And again, you can go back to an earlier version if you want to. Make two fists, take your head onto your fists, relax your face, remember Zen face. And we're going to be here for 10 really deep breaths. Slowly come out. Good. So hopefully it felt different at the end than it did at the start, this position. It's one where the sensation changes quite a lot the longer that you're in it. Let's slowly come out. So lean back, detangle. Called shoelace pose sometimes, this one. You can kind of see why. Come back onto all fours. We're going to come into a lunge. So take your right leg outside your right foot. Here. Look down at your hands. You want your right hands to the inside of your right foot. Both hands kind of underneath your shoulders. And then take your left leg, shuffle your left knee back as far as you can. And you're trying to kind of get a straight line down the front of your left hip. Find a good position, somewhere that you can settle in and be here for a while. Untuck your back toe so you've got the top of your back foot flat on the floor. Grab your blocks if you've got them. We can use blocks here. So you're staying on your hands for now. Zen face, remember, and breathing. Try and gently push your right knee into your right shoulder. So you're not letting it come out to the side. and we've got heaviness in this left hip. Grab your block or your blocks, have them under your hands, and then if it feels right, take your elbows onto your blocks. Start with your left elbow and see how that feels. And you can stay here, or take your right elbow down as well, or not. You can just stay hands on blocks or hands on floor, or elbows on floor. Find where you are, I want to say comfortable, but that's kind of not the word. Find where you can go and keep Zen face and keep breathing. Try not to fidget too much. Kind of mostly telling myself that here, but it goes for you too. We're going for 10 deep breaths. Try and commit to the position that you found yourself in. We'll do one more deep breath here. Slowly come up. Move your blocks. Okay, stick with me here. You're going to sit down on your left hip. No, on your right hip. So take your right foot, toe heel it towards the middle of your body and sit down. So when you sit down, you've got this right leg bent in front of you. Do the same with your left leg. So you've got like a 90-90 position. Both legs are at 90 degrees facing the left. Now I want you to hold on to the top of this left foot. Okay, bend it and pull it in like you're trying to kick your heel into your bum. Okay, so that's our start position. Keep holding on to this back foot, and then take your torso around to the front. You're going to put your hand on the floor, push yourself forwards, come onto the top of this left knee, keep pulling your heel in, and you'll get a big stretch on the front of your thigh on your left leg. Make it easier by having this heel closer to you, so a deeper bend in this right leg. Make it harder by having less of a bend in your right leg, bringing it round in front. Hand is on the floor and you're pulling your foot towards your hip using your shoulder. So straighten out the shoulder, pull your shoulder forwards. So left shoulder's coming in line with right shoulder, and that's what's creating that pull. Nice. Let's hold it here. So you might be here, you might be here, you might still have this right hip on the floor. That's fine. Keep pulling your shoulder forwards. You might have come all the way forwards and lifted your right hip off the floor. Have your right hand in front supporting you. We'll stay here for 10 breaths. Again, this is one where the sensation might change. The longer you're in, you can bring your front elbow to the floor if that feels sensible. Adjust your position and we'll do 4 more breaths. Either come back to the start position, or if you're already here in this start position, start to come out of it, and we will do the other side. So it's a lunge on the other side, opposite leg in front. It'll feel really weird on your right leg now, especially the front of your right hip. So find your lunge, hands to the inside of your left foot, push your right foot back, push your right knee back, bring your blocks with you, don't forget your blocks if you've got them. So we've got left foot directly below left knee. Get to a position where I can be seen. There we go. Okay, untuck your back toes, top of your foot to the floor. You're aiming for a straight line in the front of this right hip. Hands on the floor to start with. Squeeze your knee into your shoulder. Relax your face. Be heavy here. This could be where you stay. We'll work our way down as options soon. So hold on to your blocks. You can either come onto your elbows on the blocks, starting with your right elbow, and let that sensation wash over you. Stay just on your right elbow with your left hand on the floor or on the block, or you can put your left elbow down onto the block. So we've got both elbows on the blocks. You can stay here. You can put both elbows on the floor if the mood takes you. Keep trying to squeeze gently your left knee into your left shoulder. And Zen face, remember, Zen face. Don't stop breathing, no sticky breaths. Ten breaths here. Slowly come up. Move your blocks. Toe heel your left foot to the middle in between your hands, and then you can sit down on your left heel. Take both legs into that 90 position, so both legs are at 90 degrees. Hold onto your back foot, so top of your back foot, pull it in. So here might be your position. If here is your position, see if you can get your right knee behind you a little bit more so you get a stretch in the front of your quad. Kicking your heel to your bum, pulling your shoulder forwards and around. So like you're trying to line your shoulders up. So shoulders are open here, and I'm going to close them off to the fronts. Here might be your position. That's fine. You can keep your left leg where it is, or you can bend it a bit more. And you can lift your left hip off the floor and face the front fully if you want to. Either way, this is where we're going to be staying, wherever you are now. So trying to square your shoulders to the fronts. Five breaths in, you can take your elbow to the floor if it feels like it's going there. You can put it on a block. You can stay up. Okay, come on out of it now. So rock yourself back to the front. Good. We're coming into downward dog. Move yourself around. So hands to the floor. Parallel your index fingers. Push your knuckles into the floor so all the weight isn't going to dump down into your wrists. Push your toes under, lift your hips up and back. And we're aiming for a straight line between your hands and your hips. So we don't want to be here. We're going to be here. So let your head and your chin come towards your chest. And you're pushing your chest towards your knees. Doesn't really matter about straight legs. Sometimes if you straighten your legs, that adds a little bend to your shoulders like this. And we're looking to stretch shoulders for now. So heavy head, zen face, deep breaths. Push into your knuckles, not just the heels of your hands. 10 deep breaths. Lift your hips, like you're trying to lift your tailbone up to the sky rather than tuck it between your legs. So the opposite motion to tucking your tail between your legs. Anti-shrug your shoulders. So get space between your ears and your shoulders. At the same time, see if you can turn your inner elbows forwards. Another way to think about this is imagine you've got people next to you and you want to hide your armpits from them. So just a gentle twisting within your shoulder. One more deep breath. Let your chest be really heavy. Good. Come down onto your knees and then sitting back down again. Take your feet together. So knees apart, feet together. Pull them in quite close to you, as close as you can. Make like a basket shape with your hands and then tuck them underneath your feet. You're going to then push down onto this basket with your little toes, with the little toe edge of your foot. Good. Keep your elbows in. Look down at your feet. Your knees are kind of approaching the floor, kind of. And we're going to lean forwards. So you're going to pull your elbows back. You're aiming your face towards your feet. See if you can get your shoulders unhunched. So slide your shoulder blades down your back. Lean forwards. Zen face. Relax your face. Do some deep breathing. 10 deep breaths. Every time you breathe in, get long in your spine. Every time you breathe out, keep that length and get a little bit deeper, a little bit further forwards, like you're trying to get your chin to the floor in front of your feet. One more deep breath in and out here. Good. Similar but different. Make your way up. And you're going to straighten your legs out. And we're going to do similar sort of thing. So before you do, take your hands to the floor behind you slightly, lift up, and then lean forwards. Lean forwards and push your hips back. So you're kind of moving the squishy bit of your bum back so that you're sitting on the bits where your thigh bones fit into your hip sockets. So kind of lean forwards. So it feels like you're sitting on that bit where your thigh bones meet your hip sockets, not on your bum. Lovely. Doesn't matter how wide your legs are. Doesn't matter. Straighten them out as best you can. Push your heels away, toes towards you. So we've not got floppy feet that aren't doing a lot. We're stomping. Push your feet away. Grab your blocks if you've got them. Hands to the floor. And our direction of movement is forward and down. So you might be quite upright here. That's fine. Every time you breathe in deeply, get long. Every time you breathe out, keep that length and feel heaviness pulling you forwards. Blocks can be helpful as something to lean on. And you can maneuver yourself further downwards as you breathe. It might help to rock from side to side. It might not. We're going to eventually be still soon. Find somewhere where you can get some push into the floor. So you might have some cushions. You might have something other than blocks. You might just have your hands, in which case put them out in front of you. So you've got something to push into that's kind of keeping you coming down at the same time. So you can see the longer we've been sitting here talking, the further down I've got. It helps to keep, you might need to readjust your legs, so you might need to kind of lift your heels, just change, like kind of stretch out the skin under your legs as we sit here. Okay, so we're going to find some stillness now, either on your blocks or on your hands. If you can get down far enough, you can take your forehead to the blocks. Some of us might need taller blocks, but be still wherever you are now. 10 breaths. Let's make our way up. Notice how far you've come, how far down you can get. So maybe stretch out a little bit further forwards. Just enjoy what you've created. So sitting there, we've managed to get ourselves further down. It doesn't matter if it's like from here to here, we've managed to get ourselves further. Stretch out. Good. Congratulations. Okay. You might need to hold your legs to bring them in. You've kind of lost control of them over there. We're going to lie down. So that's nice. We're going to come into happy baby. So you're going to pull your knees in to your chest. Take your arms between your knees. Okay, so look between your knees. Your arms are in the middle of them. You're then going to hold the outside edge of your feet from having your hands between your arms between your knees. So the little toe edge of your feet, hold onto it. Okay, so arms between knees, holding onto the little toe edge of your feet. So your arms kind of cross over your ankles. Good. Just stay here for a while, first of all. So push your tailbone down into the floor. Your head's heavy on the floor. Close your eyes, zen your face. Breathe out. Breathe in. Now I want you to think about the heads of your shoulders, tops of your shoulders. I want you to pull them back towards the floor. So imagine like you're trying to pin someone's fingers underneath your shoulders. It may or may not touch. Either way, it's a big difference from where we were before. So go back to where you started. And then feel the difference when you pull your shoulders back towards the floor. Try and keep this. You're then going to take your feet, either stay here. Here is totally fine. Here is a really deep squat. If I were to turn you 90 degrees, you'd be in a really deep squat here. That's good. So stay here. Or you can take your feet and point the soles of your feet to the ceiling. So your ankles are now over your knees. And we're here. Shoulders are still pulling towards the floor. Tailbone is still anchoring towards the floor. Face is still zen. Breathing is still unsticky and smooth. Breathing into your belly here. Find some space in the front of your chest. So it can kind of feel like you want to use muscles in your chest to keep hold of your feet and to keep pulling your shoulders down, but find some space. Use the muscles of your back to pull your shoulders to the floor. Find space in your collarbone and between your shoulders across the front. come back into the deep squat if you want to. You can stay where you were or find that deep squat again and see how it feels after you've stretched it out. Relax your grip on your feet. Take your feet to the floor. And we're going to finish with a twist. So you've got your feet on the floor, knees bent. Lift your hips up off the floor. Push them slightly to the left and then put them down again. And then let your knees fall to the right. Okay? Hands to the floor, look over your left shoulder. And we'll stay here for 5 really deep breaths. Amazing, good. Bring your knees back. Lift your hips off the mat and then shift them over to the right. And then your knees are going to fall to the left. Hands to the floor, look over your right shoulder this time. And we'll do 5 deep breaths. Zen face. Good. Bring your knees up. Take your hips back to the middle. So shift your hips back to the middle. Take your feet wider than your hips and then let your knees fall in so that they support each other. Tuck your shoulder blades under your back. Take your palms so that they face upwards. Run a deep breath in through your mouth and then out through your mouth. Good. You are done. Well done. Zen yoga.